Part 110. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1094. The person who appeared in front of him and wanted to have a good talk with him was none other than Zhang Liang and Zhang Zifang, who were born in Confucianism. Zhang Zifang may not have thought that he would have the opportunity to see Lu Feng in this life. You must know that not long ago, the man in front of him took away his sword. I really didn't expect you to come here to find me. Don't they know that I took your sword away? Or are you here on purpose, just to remind me that I robbed you of something? Lu Feng deliberately teased Zhang Liang. No matter why those people sent Zhang Liang to this place, in short, they had no good intentions, and Zhang Liang was willing to come to this place, which means that he must have a plan in his heart. It is impossible for Lu Feng make him wish. The young master has misunderstood me. I am not that stingy. Although carrying a sword is very important, giving it to the young master is also a way to make friends with me. If the young master is willing to be my friend with that sword, then consider it as given to you by the ovary. From now on, no one will say that you stole my sword. Zhang Liang immediately changed his words. Instead, he brought this matter up as a bargaining chip to continue negotiations with Lu Feng, because Lu Feng's current reputation among people in the world is not good, and all swords they were forcibly snatched from other people's hands. Even the issue of the prince's pill became more and more intense in the eyes of others, because not only were the prince's pills robbed of weapons, but their lives were also lost, so in the eyes of many people Lu Feng is a tyrannical person like King Qin Yingzheng. Many people are filled with righteous indignation and think that not killing Lu Feng is not enough to make the common people angry. This is very strange. Do you really not hate me? You must know that not only you, but also other people's swords were taken away by me. Don't you suspect that I killed Prince Dan with my own hands? Lu Feng didn't believe what he said at all, so his current conversation with Zhang Liang was to find out why Zhang Liang came here. This is a very important way of speaking. Please don't misunderstand me. Some people suspect that you killed Prince Dan, but that doesn't mean that others will do the same. What's more, not many people know that the Maoist tycoon turned out to be Prince Dan. Zhang Liang seems to want to tell Lu Feng that his attitude is different from other people's, and he obviously represents Confucianism. This means that most people among the hundreds of schools of thought have differences, and individuals have different attitudes, and now almost half of the people are on the opposite side. I didn't a Euro trademark expect that I would have such ability to make you each other a Euro trademark's enemy. Having heard what he meant, Lu Feng deliberately mocked Zhang Liang. Although they are known as gentlemen, at least they don't look like that. They are too jealous of each other. They just want to let their own people get more. For their own interests, they would rather let others suffer a worse fate. Even if others are targeted by Lu Feng, they don't mind. Rather, if someone is willing to take the lead, they are simply willing to stand back and watch. Fighting, they will treat the losses of their allies as invisible. So what if I say that if you cooperate with us, you can get the throne of Qin? Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1095. What Zhang Liang said next also surprised Lu Feng. He did not expect that Zhang Liang would actually say such words. Don't they want to destroy the Qin state? If I remember correctly, the Han state was destroyed by the Qin state. You have long been filled with hatred for the Qin state. Do you think I believe that you will not destroy the Qin state if you have the chance in the future? Lu Feng smiled and shook his head. Even if others don't know Zhang Liang's origin, as a person who has seen the bright moon of the Qin dynasty, he knows very well that Zhang Liang is the son of the prime minister of the Han dynasty. His family has been the prime minister of the Han dynasty. It has been more than 3 generations, and my feelings for Han are definitely very loyal. Of course I remember the hatred of the year very clearly, but this is not the purpose of my coming here now. I am just here to persuade you, Why don't a Euro trademark you become friends with us? We can make you the king of Qin, don't a Euro trademark you? Do you want to see this day? Zhang Liang did not face this problem directly, because even in the process of persuasion, he was unwilling to admit that he had no hatred for Qin. This time he came as a lobbyist and naturally had to complete his task as a lobbyist. You didn't acknowledge the question I asked you. Obviously, you already have an answer in your mind. I don't want to force you here. You can leave now. I don't want to kill you. Lu Feng's words were also telling Zhang Liang that he had failed when he came here, so he should honestly return to the place where he should be to recuperate. As for Qin, it is impossible to perish now. I have been cultivating myself for so many years, just to wait until one day in the future to avenge my father and my country. If the Qin kingdom is not destroyed for a day, I will not be able to avenge it. But the son can be the king of Qin, and the Qin kingdom can also be destroyed. Facing this situation, Zhang Liang still didn't feel any anxiety. Instead, he continued to stand in front of Lu Feng very calmly. As long as no soldiers came up to carry him away, he could continue to speak. This was the first time I knew that Zhang Zifang was such a stubborn person. Lu Feng smiled. He was worthy of being praised by later generations as a military strategist who could strategize thousands of miles away. Zhang Liang indeed had a calm demeanor in the face of danger. Then you can tell me how to destroy Qin? And is there still someone like King Qin in the world? Of course, the most important thing is that Lu Feng wants to know how Zhang Liang managed to destroy the Qin state while the king of Qin still exists. This doesn't make sense at all theoretically. Is it possible to create a small Qin state? When the 6 kingdoms are restored in the future, you will be given a neutral place. In that place, you can call yourself king of Qin, and the people there can still be the orphans of Qin, but from now on you can no longer call yourself Qin. The country can only be called Qincheng. Zhang Liang expressed his thoughts, and this was also the result of discussions among various schools of thought. They were willing to give Lu Feng a fiefdom, but the fiefdom could not bear the national symbol of Qin. As long as Lu Feng was willing, he can still be the king of Qin, but that country can no longer exist. Is this the method you mentioned? It sounds quite absurd. Unfortunately, I will not accept your proposal. This time we really want to drive people away. Lu Feng waved his hand, and Zhao Yun appeared next to Zhang Liang, knocked him out with a palm, and took him to the cell. This person was to be treated alone. Guard. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1096. Zhang Liang may not have thought that Lu Feng would be so straightforward. He said he would not continue the conversation, but he really did not continue the conversation. After someone took him away, he did not wake up until the next day holding his sore neck. Come over. Seeing that the people around him were all unfamiliar guarding soldiers, Zhang Liang smiled bitterly, never expecting to be treated like this. He originally thought he could go back safely, but now not only can't he go back, but he has become a prisoner. It seems that Lu Feng is not going to let him go easily. Brother, could you please send me a message? I will be grateful. Zhang Liang took out his jade pendant. A gentleman admires jade, so Zhang Liang always wears jade pendants, and they are all of good quality. If he sells them alone, it will cost at least several thousand. Under normal circumstances, it is more than enough to bribe the guard soldiers in front of you. But this is not an ordinary situation. The person responsible for guarding here is no one else, but a guard soldier who has been personally trained by Lu Feng. He will not be stunned by such money. Young master, your piece of meat is indeed valuable elsewhere, but with our brothers, it is not as valuable as the piece of beef and mutton that young master Feng rewarded. The guard soldiers did not accept Zhang Liang's jade pendant, and told him clearly that there was no need to waste his efforts. They would not accept such a bribe. This made Zhang Liang even more unbelievable. He did not expect the loyalty of the people on the border to Lu Feng. The degree was so high that even valuable things like jade pendants could not attract his attention. In desperation, Zhang Liang gave up the bribe and could only wait for Lu Feng's order on what to do with him. Now at that time, Lu Feng was writing a letter, but the material he used was cloth. After all, there was no such thing as paper at this time, so he could only use cloth or bamboo slips. Although it was a little thicker, it was written in classical Chinese. As if, short enough, it could be delivered on horseback. This time the letter has been completely eliminated due to the net, so fundamentally speaking, the letter to be conveyed to King Qin Yingzheng does not need to be authentic. But it is not expected yet. Meng Tian ran over to help him. Lu Feng knew very well that Meng Tian was a die-hard fan of King Qin Yingzheng, so there was absolutely no possibility of betrayal. Faced with such a history where the force value and the command value are likely to explode. As a fierce general, Lu Feng had no other choice but to dispatch Lu Buletin and Zhao Yun. Fortunately, he still had the means to completely suppress it, otherwise killing Luo Sheng this time would be a failure. He casually wrote a few polite words about the stability of the border and the king not to worry. He asked people to take the cloth to Xianyang. Meng Che watched the cloth being sent away without stopping him. King Qin Yingzhen's suspicion of him made him very incomprehensible. His hard work in the frontier for many years was in vain. A simple defection also gave Lu Fengbei an assistant. Meng Che, how long do you think it will take for Meng Tian to lead his troops to the border and take over everything? Lu Feng's question is a reply to this letter. Perhaps it cannot be called a reply. It is just an attitude of King Qin Yingzheng. As for what this attitude is, it is difficult to say. The king is a very cautious person and will not let General Meng Tian leave his side easily before getting accurate information. As a personal guard, General Meng Tian is incomparable to the old General Wang Jian. Meng Che said. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1097. Meng Che's analysis is not unreasonable. You must know that although Meng Tian is famous, he spends far more time as a personal guard than going out to fight. It's just that his excellent force value and command value make people ignore the time he spent with Qin King Yingzheng. King Qin Yingzheng also trusted him very much. In other words, they have great trust in the entire Meng family. Even for food, clothing, housing, and transportation, he was willing to stay with the Meng family brothers, but if it were anyone else, King Qin Yingzheng wouldn't even have a good look on his face. Therefore, regarding border issues, King Qin Yingzheng is not willing to expand his influence, but if it must be dealt with, the first choice military commander must be Meng Che. Others are guarding the king, and he must be worried. But he wants to switch to other Meng family members to guard, but there is no second Meng Tian. If it weren't for the fact that the young master has the final say in the border area, the king shouldn't be so distressed. There is no need to write to you in advance to spy on the military situation. Meng Che shook his head. As a descendant of the Meng family, he could roughly guess how much Qin King Yingzheng trusted their Meng family. Regarding Meng Tian, a euro Qin King Yingzheng wanted to arrange it. The anti-Qin alliance has always been against Qin King Yingzheng's containment power was very strong, and they were bound to assassinate Yingzheng, at least twice a day. Poison killings had to be calculated separately, so King Qin Yingzheng had always asked Meng Tian to be responsible for his safety, that is, absolutely even Zhao Gao may not be able to compare with this point, but Zhao Gao has always been by Yingzheng's side, and it can be seen that he has Yingzheng's trust, but the degree is different. Lu Feng's threat is too great. It was so big that it gave Yingzheng a big headache, but Wang Jian was leading the army to attack the city and defend the city in Inner Mongolia. There were no troops around him to send. Others, Ying Zhen, did not believe that he could be Lu Feng's opponent anyway. In Xianyang Palace, the air pressure around King Qin Ying Zhen was so low that the people around him did not dare to breathe. Zhao Gao was dressed in red eunuch clothes, and the eyeshadow on his face made him look more feminine. Meng Tian's resolute appearance fully highlights his heroic spirit as a military general. He stands fearlessly and upright beside Qin King Ying Zhen, as if Ying Zhen's low pressure has no effect on him. Zhao Gao, how long will it take to rebuild Luoyang? Qin Wang Ying Zhen questioned Zhao Gao. Returning to the king, it will take 3 days to completely rebuild the snare. However, the border is still inaccessible now, and I am afraid it will not be a place under our control in the future. Zhao Gao didn't have any anxiety, and he was very confident when he spoke, as if he was confident that Ying Zhen would not kill him. But his confidence was correct. This Ying Feng has been recuperating in the Deep Palace. He originally thought he was a non-threatening person, but I didn't expect that one day I would lose sight of him and let the tiger go back to the mountain. Even the trap could not stop him. Qin Wang Yingzheng frowned. He originally wanted to assassinate Lu Feng secretly through the net, but he didn't expect that the net could not even establish a basic intelligence department, let alone assassinate him. And Zhao Gao also told him something even worse. The thing is that Luoyang will never be able to enter the border area from now on. Obviously, Lu Feng has a clear understanding of Luoyang's intelligence system. He fundamentally no longer accepts the existence of Luoyang and has done a very good job. Absolutely. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1098. The entire network was handed over to Zhao Gao, so the time given by Zhao Gao was the fastest time to complete the intelligence network. Ying Zhen had no doubts about this. After all, for him, Zhao Gao was also under his control and could not pose a threat to him. The person who poses the threat now is Lu Fengke, who is far away in the border area. Your Majesty, I am willing to lead the soldiers of Great Qin to the border so that Gong Zifeng can no longer pose any threat to Great Qin. I will not let him split Great Qin. Meng Tian took the initiative to ask for help. He knew that Ying Zhen was in trouble, so he took the initiative to request to go to the border. This would also save Ying Zhen from unnecessary worries. The youngest brother of the last general, Meng Yi, may be able to play a small role by the king's side. Meng Tian has even thought of a way out, which is to let his brother Meng Yi take over. This will ensure that even if he leaves, there will be others around Ying Zhen as personal guards to protect him. Of course, Ying Zhen will also be safe. Knowing the existence of Meng Yi, he is a person who is not inferior to Meng Tian in terms of force value, but his command value is not good, and he has always served in the court as a civilian official. In total, it should be said that he is both civil and military, but he cannot lead an army as a general, that's all. Meng Yi does have his abilities, but do you think he can take your place beside me? Qin Wang Yingzhen was questioning Meng Tian very seriously. Once Meng Tian is right, he will immediately give an order to let Meng Tian lead the army to the border to try to regain the territory that is no longer within his control. Yes. I will eventually believe in Meng Yi. This was an affirmation from his brother. Meng Tian's affirmative answer made King Qin Yingzhen's eyes change. It was precisely because of this sentence that King Qin Yingzhen quickly ordered that King Qin Yingzhen lead 50,000 people to the border. Although this number is still small compared with the border defenders. However, this is already the largest force that the Qin state can mobilize. If someone else leads the army, he will not trust such a small number of soldiers to be led out, but now, Meng Tian leading the troops himself, Ying Zhen believed that he could lead these people to defeat more with less. Soon, Meng Tian led the troops to go on an expedition. At the border, Lu Feng was thinking about the issue of people's livelihood construction. Since obstacles were built in the city, Rongdi's people were always killed under the horse. The number of people lost each time far exceeded the value of the items they wanted to rob. Over time, Those Rongdi also stopped and would not easily run into the city, but their hatred for Lu Feng also reached a new level. Unexpectedly, Lu Feng, the new leader, was so powerful that he could control these Rongdi people in such a short time. They were also robbed of 1,000 cattle and sheep. After many Rongdi people were arrested, Lu Feng simply let them all. I went to work as a coolie and contributed to the construction of the city. In addition, there is also the issue of food that needs to be considered. For many years, the border areas have relied on the supply of inland food to ensure continuous food supply, but as long as the inland supply stops, then most of the people in the frontiers will starve to death. Now Qin King Yingzheng will not transport food to the frontiers no matter what. The remaining food in the warehouse can only last for half a year at most, and the dried beef and mutton, it is impossible to eat it as a staple food forever. From a scientific perspective, eating meat all the time will make the body lack vitamins, trace minerals, etc., which is not nutritious. Therefore, pasta, fruits, vegetables, etc. must be prepared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1099. If you want to prepare enough food for soldiers and people, you have to carry out various preparations and planting. However, the policy of adapting measures to local conditions must be followed. The border area is located in a desert, and the only green vegetation areas around it have been occupied by Rongdi. There is almost no place for planting in the city, which is no different from wasteland. If you want to convert the former modern area, it is much cheaper than Xi'an, which is about equal to the territory of Mengu. This is why Rongdi can raise a large number of cattle and sheep. Because their grassland resources are so abundant, they are just not very friendly to the Dakin people who defend the city. After thinking about it carefully, maybe there is a reason why people in Xi'an often eat pasta instead of rice as the main food. There is no way to grow rice in this place. Only by getting some whole grains and adding a lot of meat can we ensure that everyone has food to eat. The most important thing is that the beef and mutton that can only be raised on the frontier can be traded with the inland in exchange for more food. This is a good choice. After thinking about these policies, Lu Feng summoned local farmers and confirmed with them in detail the problem of planting plants. Fortunately, the local farmers were all a group of honest people. In less than an hour, the communication with them was completed, and after confirmation, they were allowed to plant with peace of mind, and I would also provide some support, which made them very happy. For the first time, I knew that planting could still be supported. The news spread throughout the township and village, and many people were full of hope for the future. Moreover, Lu Feng also changed the previous system. He did not collect all their grain harvests, but collected them on a proportional basis. In other words, in addition to what was turned in, the farmers themselves had surplus grain. For the common people, why not do this? Lu Feng was also respected by the people as the most tolerant general. Meng Che saw that the people had such a high opinion of him, and gradually became more inclined to work around him. And the task of building houses has also been stopped. The original purpose of building houses was to give those displaced people a place to live, so as to avoid chaos. Now that the displaced people have got houses, even if they are still lacking in the future, they should find a way to build them themselves, and it has nothing to do with Meng Che. However, through this period of time among the common people, Meng Che also heard so many opinions about the common people for the first time, and his consciousness in the officialdom was completely different. He was born into a noble family and has knowledge and culture. Now he has experience. I believe he will shine in the future. Young master, I heard from the people that relatives who came from other places to seek refuge encountered the Qin army coming out of Xianyang city on the road. Maybe the king has sent troops, but we didn't get the news in time. One day, Meng Che brought a common man over, and it was this common man who told Meng Che the news about the Qin army. Lu Feng looked up, and the map in his hand was about the land map from Xianyang to here. Judging from the information above, it only takes 15 days for Meng Tian to stop at the border of the frontier from the inside out, and because he attacks from the inside out, it is easier. Fortunately, the cities here in the frontier are all 44 its square, easy to defend and difficult to attack, and the difficulty from the inside is about 1 star lower than the outside. It's not too easy. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1100. The only trouble now is how to allocate troops. Rongde could not get any benefits from Lu Feng for a long time, so he went crazy and launched attacks outside the city 4 or 5 times a day, just like fighting guerrilla warfare. This is very troublesome, they go away as quickly as they come. This also caused the soldiers on duty on the city wall to be exhausted. Even if the shift system was adopted, they might not be able to keep up with Rongde's harassment methods. Now Lu Feng asked Meng Che to lead the people around him to set up protection on the top of the city wall, so as to avoid a lot of harassment to the greatest extent. You can use the protection set up by external conditions to ensure that you don't have to be so tired, but your field of vision is easily restricted. When Rongde rushes out, he likes to throw flying stones. Rongde chooses the flying stones to be very sharp. After throwing them with their strength, plus inertia for calculation, the power cannot be underestimated. Ordinary soldiers do not wear good armor, and the flying rocks can penetrate the flesh, and sometimes even get stuck in the flesh, causing extreme pain. In order to deal with these flying stones, some shields can be made as protection for the top of the head, installed on the top of the city wall, and placed diagonally. When soldiers are on duty, they can lower their heads for protection. However, this method also has a limitation, which is that it can easily lead to the inability to expand one's own field of vision, and there will be many blind spots when on duty. Lu Feng even suspected that someone had given Rongde a clever trick and deliberately used flying rocks to hurt people many times, forcing his soldiers to only block their vision to resist. But thinking about it, there are no Han people who are willing to serve as military advisors for Rongde and plan their own people, so it should be their own way. As for whether the existence of flying rocks had another purpose of reducing the vision of the city defenders, Lu Feng could only hope that it was an accident and not Rongde's intention. Otherwise, Rongde would be more threatening than currently estimated. Bigger. Meng Che, do you think how long it will take to build these arrows? If everyone needs to be able to equip them, can the city support such a large quantity? Lu Feng called Meng Che here, and he must take precautions in advance for the war. Military equipment cannot be delayed. If it is in short supply, it will affect the normal war. Young master, the amount you want is too large. Even if we make millions of arrows ourselves and buy them from other cities, we may not be able to reach the amount you mentioned. Meng Che sighed. The quantity Lu Feng asked for was too huge. They couldn't afford it, not to mention that the surrounding cities might not be willing to sell it to them. So how much do you think we can do in a month? Lu Feng asked again. Meng Che must be more aware of the local situation, so it is right to ask him. Master, even if we gather all the craftsmen in the city together, lock them up for a month, and force them to make arrows, I'm afraid they can only make 200,000. This is already the result of hard work day and night. Meng Che once thought about gathering all the craftsmen for calculation, so he had an idea of a euro the estimation in this area, but he would not do it. Because it would be unreasonable to gather so many craftsmen together and lock them in the workshop to work hard. Who can bear the hard work of working day and night if it costs people's lives? It is not Meng Che's temperament to oppress others too much. So far, he knows very well how many people in the city can make arrows. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1101. Lu Feng was obviously dissatisfied when he heard this answer. It takes 1 month to get 200,000 arrows. This quantity is too low and not enough for fighting. In this era, all rely on cold weapons, and long-range arms such as archers can be invincible as long as they occupy a geographical advantage on the battlefield. If Lu Feng spent more time training cavalry and heavy armor, he could almost survive in the Warring States period. But now these people's productivity is so low, even if he has an idea, it will be difficult to implement it. Young master, these things you have prepared now may not come in handy. Meng Tian is good at using troops, so maybe he won't give you a chance to use archers, not to mention that the Great Qin cavalry is not just talk. Meng Che is very unfavorable about this duel, whether it is because there is still wrongdoing who cannot be solved, or because Meng Tian is strong. He always wants to win through military strategy, at least in this country where he grew up with Meng Tian. From Meng Che's point of view, this is nothing more than a fantasy. Are you so confident in Meng Tian? Of course Lu Feng knows Meng Tian's name, but anyone who has received 9 years of compulsory education should have read the history of the Qin dynasty, and of course knows this fierce man. If he didn't have someone more powerful than Meng Tian, Lu Feng would. It is also difficult to fight this battle. After all, the foundation of the defenders in his hands is very weak, and they cannot compare with the Qin cavalry in Meng Tian's hands. Give Lu Feng a few more months, and it is possible to train them to be able to fight against each other. Soldiers, but before that, these city defending soldiers can only defend the city. Sir, you know the reason for saying this better than I do. Meng Che lowered his head. He knew that Lu Feng was a smart man. This was never really a question to him. It was obviously a matter of course. Brothers who grew up together, even if they were cousins, they knew each other well. ETA Euro trademark S7 or 8 points. In your opinion, in addition to leading the Qin cavalry, will he also bring other soldiers? Lu Feng is really asking Meng Che. Meng Che is obviously very familiar with the Qin's military units. Yes, there is still a war in other countries. Old General Wang Jian took the opportunity to take away all the troops, and he also has the most complete types of troops. If he wants Meng Tian to lead the troops again, there is no other candidate except the Great Qin cavalry in Xianyang. Meng Che still has a say in this, and he also takes it for granted that except for the Great Qin cavalry, Xianyang has no troops to deploy. Fundamentally speaking, this is the only way. Although the troops are not complete, in general, the combat effectiveness of one team far exceeds the combined strength of other arms. The border is broken from the inside, and there are far more plains than hills. As long as Meng Tian tries to avoid complex terrain such as hills and ravines, he can fight with Lu. However, the prerequisite for all this is that he can defeat Lu Feng's men. Lu Buletin and Zhao Yun are both fierce generals, and after the bonus of the transfer hall, they are already invincible. Such a super strong general. Although Meng Tian is also a famous general in the Qin state, because he is only very strong in this era, he is not yet qualified to dominate others. If Lu Feng needs to, he can directly arrest Meng Tian at any time. Let the other party become a headless fly. King Qin Yingzheng also didn't know Lu Feng because he didn't understand him, so he didn't know that Lu Feng had so many powerful generals and talents. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1102. This was also the failure of King Qin Yingzheng in the intelligence war. He relied too much on the net, which led to the failure to establish more intelligence systems now that the net was lost. However, it can be said that Lu Feng took advantage of him and acted with the identity directly placed here through the system. For most people, it is impossible for them to know more detailed information about this person. The system just gives the people here a stable concept in their minds, letting them know Lu Feng's existence and firmly believe in it. This identity can make it easier for Lu Feng to act, but at the same time, it does not give people of this era any information to believe. Just tell them that this person exists. This also led to information asymmetry, which made Lu Feng more convenient. Young master, I don't a Euro trademark T understand why you have to prepare these things. In my opinion, General Lu and General Zhao can easily deal with Meng Tian, a euro, and there is no need to go out to fight. Meng Che failed to understand why Lu Feng insisted on choosing to fight Meng Tian. It was obviously unnecessary and his men were enough to deal with Meng Tian. Got it? Do you think a Euro trademark is okay for my son to go to the battlefield now? Lu Feng asked Meng Che in return, which made Meng Che stunned for a moment. Now, the young master is still young, only a 14-year-old boy. Is it too cruel to let him go to the battlefield? Young master, are you planning to let him face Meng Tian, a euro an already famous general? Is it too early to tell? Meng Che thought for a while. As a person who had just been convinced by Lu Feng, when discussing these matters, he would be suspected of interfering in the officer's family affairs. Meddling in other people's affairs would only make people feel disgusted, and Meng Che would not. I hope I can become such an image. Your answer is indifferent. You just point out his age. He is not a carefree young man. Lu Feng didn't think so. He knew that Meng Che didn't want to say that he was wrong, so he could only use this method as an excuse to escape from the matter. But Lu Feng was not happy, which made it difficult for Meng Che. Okay, I really don't a Euro trademark T know what to say. Okay, I want a Euro trademark T embarrass you, just go and pass the order, let him be the commander-in-chief, you can be the deputy general a Euro trademark S staff officer, let him listen to your opinion on everything, go ahead. Lu Feng asked Meng Che to go down and deliver the order, asking him to follow Lu Yuz to fight Meng Tian. This was not intended to make them brothers fight each other. Meng Che did not need to go to the battlefield, but it was necessary to follow Lu Yuz and provide him with so many years of experience in border defense. Yes, sir. Meng Che didn't have anything to refute this, and he knew very well that Lu Feng didn't make things difficult for him, and even gave him a chance to meet Meng Tian. Even if Meng Tian loses in the future, he can still say it next to Lu Yuz with two kind words, I can think of brotherly love and ask for the last bit of favor for my brother. When Lu Yuz received the order, he was very excited. For him, this was the first time he received an order from his father, and it was very clear. Let him go to the battlefield. This is one of the things that a passionate man looks forward to most. Wu Neng can set the world on horseback, and Wen Neng can right and settle the world. If he can really go to the battlefield, it will be a training for Lu Yuz, so he is particularly looking forward to this time. War, and look forward to this war coming soon. Young master, even if you are in a hurry to go to the battlefield, you should go to the warehouse first to check the war preparations. Meng Che's tone was like coaxing a child. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 1103. Lu Yuz also heard what Meng Che meant, and obviously didn't take him seriously yet, and didn't think that a 14-year-old boy could do anything. He secretly made up his mind to prove his ability. Young master, Master Feng asked you to listen more to the general's opinions, and also asked you to go to the warehouse. Meng Che waited for a long time, and Lu Yuz didn't say anything. He simply repeated it again, explaining that Lu Feng had given the order. What he said and done now could not be considered as exceeding his authority. Lu Yuz also knew it. He came to his senses and did not remain stunned. He readily agreed and went with him to the munitions warehouse. This was specially built by Lu Feng alone for efficient storage when the soldiers returned to the fields to work as farmers. Otherwise, it got rusty, and sharpening the guns before battle only caused trouble. Lu Feng did this to prevent problems before they happened, and they were protected in an officially designated way, so there would be no problems with those weapons. For his own people, the management of the warehouse people also know very well how much storage is available. If there is less, they can be made quickly without leaving craftsmen with a window of time. The management of the entire army will also be more rational. Are these bows still in production? Why are there so many weapons in production? Liu Yue saw from the quartermaster who managed the warehouse that the production and storage of weapons were written in the brochure, and he felt strange why it was marked that there were still 500,000 bows and arrows being made. Shouldn't they be weapons that had been prepared long ago? Back to the young master, these are just about to be started, but the order has not yet been given. Your father, the young master, said that he had other plans, so these bows and arrows have been put on hold. The quartermaster answered truthfully. Recently, Lu Feng is thinking about reforming the crossbow. When used in the right place, the power can be increased by several levels, which is more powerful than the current bows and arrows. Regarding Zhulianu's ideas, Lu Feng already has it. It's just that I haven't found a suitable craftsman to make it. It's hard to see whether the craftsmen in the Warring States period had this craft. Instead of looking for those craftsmen, Lu Feng thought it would be better to go to the Mahist or Gongsha family to find people who knew the art of mechanism. It's just the philosophy of the Mahist. Specially, Lu Feng already robbed them of their non-attack. From this point of view, it was impossible for the two sides to reach a consensus. Furthermore, even Prince Dan was killed by Lu Feng, and the hatred was so deep. My father has other plans for these bows and arrows, but what about other weapons such as knives, forks, swords, and halberds? They can't all be made by craftsmen. Why do so many things have the word scarce written on them? Liu Yue looked through the booklet and found that many cold weapons had the word scarce in the back, which made him very dissatisfied. The war was imminent, and this time it could be said that he was going to fight. Why was everything lacking at this time? The soldiers are all short of armor. Calculating this, there are only 100,000 soldiers who can be assigned to fight and wear armor and weapons. Although Meng Tian can lead only 50,000 or 60,000 Dakin cavalry, but how can ordinary troops compete compared with the Dakin iron cavalry? Thinking that the opponent can fight 1 against 5, but one of our own can't do it 1 against 1. The gap in combat power is too large, and it will be difficult to defeat without supplementing from external conditions. The young master doesn't a Euro trademark T know that our soldiers are quite unwilling to send troops in this battle.